Everybody tells you that childbirth is painful, but until you experience it yourself, you can never fully understand what it means. As a first time mom, I was nervous and excited. And if this is your first baby in the UK or you're expecting your first baby, I hope my experience will help you understand the process. This is the room where I was shifted after I gave birth, as I had my normal delivery and I had no complications, Allah ka shukar. So I was transferred to the general ward. Now, general ward has got these rooms separated by curtains. There are 6 women over here, and these are small rooms. And we are also given free food 3 times a day. The breakfast is just very basic, it's just tea and toast, which I didn't like. Afternoon, lunch, and then dinner. They give you options, they let you choose from the menu, and you can also have vegan or halal options and kosher as well. And they give you food accordingly. The taste is not that great, but as I said, it's free, so it's okay. So let's start from the final weeks of my pregnancy. Throughout my pregnancy, everything was going smoothly. I attended all of my antenatal appointments, regular checkups, scans, and everything, and the staff was really, really good. The midwives monitored my baby's growth, checked my blood pressure, and then noticed the heartbeat of the baby and made sure everything was going accordingly. As I reached the final weeks of pregnancy, my midwife suggested a growth scan because I was having a big baby in the 90th percentile, and they said that they want to do a checkup, and I was referred to the hospital. I was actually quite nervous when I heard the words big baby, but the doctors over there discussed options with me. They sat me down calmly and then they explained me that because the baby was on the higher side than average, it was better for me to either go for a membrane sweep or consider induction. Now, at this time, my mother was due to arrive from Pakistan in just a few days because I had already told her about my due date. I had always imagined that I will have my mother by my side when the labor started. Now, I wanted her to be by my side, and that is why I was thinking of not taking that induction option. Part of me wanted to wait, and I was also scared of induction because I heard really scary stories about it. Thankfully, my husband was incredibly supportive, and he listened to me, he encouraged me, and he said, "It's upon you. It's going to be your decision, but I would suggest that you go with what the doctors have to say." Reluctantly, I agreed to have a membrane sweep. For those who don't know what that is, it's a procedure where the midwife gently separates the membranes around the baby from the cervix, and then the labor starts naturally. Now, it is a painful process, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. For me, it was very painful. I remember gripping the bed and then gripping my husband's hand and trying my best to stay calm, but I couldn't. I was asking her to stop, but I know that it was important. Anyway, when that was done, I was relieved and I went back home because I said, let's wait for the labor to start naturally. In the evening, I started feeling mild contractions. At first, they were not too bad. They were like very slight, and I could bear them. I could walk around, talk normally, distract myself. And when I was walking, they were subsiding. I kept wondering, and I was not sure whether this was real labor or it was just my body reacting to the membrane sweep because it's my first time, so I really had no idea. The next morning, I noticed some bleeding, and that moment I was worried. So I just told my husband about it, and he said, let's call the hospital and then let's see what's going to happen. I called the hospital, and one thing over here in UK, the maternity system says that before going to the hospital, they're usually asking us to call them before going to the hospital unannounced, right? And then one of the midwives, they ask you some questions about your symptoms, contractions, and the baby movements, and they want to actually deduce whether the labor has started or not. And based on what you tell them, they will advise you whether you should come in immediately or just stay at home and then continue monitoring. After I explained the contractions, they advised me to come in for assessment, and then they put me on monitoring systems. They continuously checked the baby's heartbeat, they were monitoring my contractions, and they were basically assessing how the labor was progressing. Everything looked okay. So I was again sent home to continue the process naturally. Going home, again the contractions started, and this time they were like not very far apart, and that is why I had to again call the hospital and they asked me to come in immediately. So this was the second time I went to the hospital, and this time I did not come back home. I was actually admitted. I was in the hospital for 2 days, and for 2 days I was given paracetamol to as a painkiller, and I was just bearing those contractions because I was not dilated properly. In the meantime, the midwives came and they checked me internally just to see how my labor was progressing, and when the labor pain was a lot, I used to walk a lot and then it used to subside. But it was gradually increasing and I was actually feeling that pain. I was given paracetamol after every 6 hours. All throughout, my husband was by my side, he was with me, and I know without his support, I don't think I could have done it because my mother was still in Pakistan and her flight was not supposed to be landing in the next few days. Now in the UK, with the mother, the husband, or any attendant, whoever is staying with the mother, cannot stay during the night. So every night, my husband had to go, and then he used to come back early in the morning. But that night time used to be very difficult for me. I used to keep a brave face and tell my husband that it's okay, I can manage. But deep inside, I really wanted him to be by my side because you're having labor contractions, you are in a vulnerable state, and then you're alone. So you feel like, it's a very scary thought to be in. But I would say that the NHS staff was really, really good. Whenever I used to call the midwife, they used to give us a bell and we used to ring it. And as soon as I used to ring it, one of the midwives used to come. Of course, there were some delays sometimes, especially at night time, because, they are humans after all. But they took really good care of me. 2 days passed, and now I was actually questioning whether the baby is ready to come out or not, and how long am I going to be in the hospital. And from there, my family, they kept on calling my husband, messaging him all the time, asking what is the update, what's the update. And my husband, he was taking care of me, taking care of the family. He was just basically running all around. As a first time mom, even I did not know what to expect. Of course, I had taken my antenatal classes and I had read a lot about it, watched YouTube videos, and obviously, my sister is also a doctor and she told me a lot of things, but still, you can't really tell once before experiencing it. So when you're in that situation, that's when you know. Now came day 3, and everything changed because the contractions became really, really strong, very close together. And they say when the contractions are very close together, that means you're in active labor. And they were quite intense. Intense as in, I was not able to talk when I used to have a contraction. I just couldn't talk, and I had to just get up from the bed, start walking, and then do the breathing exercises that were taught to us. At this point, the midwives assessed that I was in great pain and I was in active labor. Now, this was night time, day 3 night time, and I kept calling the midwife saying that I am having pain. Can you give me another painkiller, another painkiller? So she actually assessed that I am in active labor and I need to be shifted to the labor ward now. However, there was one problem. I was alone. Now, in UK hospitals, I told you, birth partners, they are not allowed to stay overnight. So my husband had gone home and he was expecting obviously that things will take time. So he will come in the morning. The idea of going into the labor ward myself was actually very scary. I didn't want to be alone in that room. I was emotional and I just didn't want to be there without my husband. So when the midwife first suggested, I said no, I don't want to. She suggested again and I was hesitating. So she explained me that if I don't accept it and if I don't go there, I might lose my spot because you can't really book a labor ward. It's a first come first serve basis. She was so kind. She told me that, see, this is what I will suggest to you, and this is what it is. So I called my husband, and then he said, "Don't worry, go to the labor ward. I'll be there in no time. Just don't worry about it." So I agreed. I was very, very nervous and I said, "There are so many things in the room. Do I have to pick them up?" And she was like, "No, love, of course not. I'll help you with everything." So she cleared all my room. She had all the bags packed because I was obviously carrying bags for my baby and for myself. And then she asked me if I needed help, but I said it's okay. And she carried my things and she accompanied me to the labor ward. Now, my husband on the other side, he was just racing to the hospital. I think he might have just driven like really recklessly that day, because he was like, I don't want my baby to be born without me. And so he was like racing to the hospital. Um, I just was so relieved when I saw him coming. Few hours passed again, and the contractions were becoming stronger and stronger. My cervix was also dilating. Initially, they gave me gas and air. It's also called as laughing gas, because I already told them that I want to go slow and steady. I don't want an epidural initially. And even in UK, they try to give you slow painkillers. They don't want to jump to the highest level of painkillers. Many women in the UK use this, right? For me, it not removed the pain completely, but it was better. It helped me cope. And when the contractions become much more intense, I said that, this laughing gas is not helping me anymore. I need something more. So they offered me remifentanil. It's a stronger form of pain relief, and it's through IVs. So at this point, I was grateful. I was like, give me anything that helps me. At this time, my pressure in the pelvis was immense. With every contraction, it felt as though something was pushing downward. And I remember asking the midwife that I think I need to poop. And that feeling is actually very common during labor. I thought I will poop really badly, and I really need to go to the toilet. As my mother was in Pakistan, she was constantly calling and praying, and my sister, mother-in-law, everybody was praying, and they were just asking for updates. My mother was especially very emotional. She wanted to be beside me. She wanted to be with me at that time, and she was crying over there. And even though she was miles away, I could feel her love and support. And then after a long time, I was finally 10 centimeters dilated. And but now I was pushing and pushing and pushing. Uh, I just used all my strength in the body. I was pushing to the best of my capabilities. But then the medical team noticed that the baby had passed meconium, which is the first poop. So when that happens, the doctors, the midwives, they have to take quick actions, because there's a chance that the baby might swallow that poop, and that is going to be a very risky thing. My baby's head was also slightly tilted to one side rather than being in the right position. So, because of this, the pushing was becoming difficult. I was pushing, and they could see the baby's head crowning as well, but the baby was not coming out. Despite all my efforts, I really wanted a normal delivery. It was a normal delivery, but that at this point, the additional doctors started coming into the room, and they started explaining me um, uh, about the condition and everything. They told me that they will use forceps and they will take the baby out safely. They will not do a C section, because I did not want a C section. I had already gone through so much pain that I did not want to go for a surgery in the end. I was exhausted at this point, drained completely, physically, emotionally, and I just wanted my baby to come out safely. So I agreed. The team prepared everything. They talked me through every step. They were so calm and lively. And then, with the help of forceps, my baby Isam, he was finally delivered. As soon as this was done, and I heard the baby's cry, they put him on me. I was hysterical. I was crying. I was shaking because of adrenaline. Pregnant women, they know after birth, you shake because your body is going through has gone through such a big massive process, and it's still in that adrenaline rush. I was shaking, I was crying, and I was thanking everybody in the room, and I was so happy. And I looked at my husband, and we were so delighted. He prayed azan in his ears. As Muslims, we do that when a baby is born. We do this in his baby's ear. We pray azan, the call to prayer. After delivery and everything, doing the weight checkups, I was moved to this room, which I showed in the initial video. The midwives, they helped me, take out colostrum, and they helped me with the breastfeeding and everything. Even in the first few hours, I couldn't move, so it was difficult for me to change my baby. So I gave them diapers, I gave them new sets of clothes. They changed my baby, they put on new clothes. So they were really, really helpful. And my husband again had to go in the night. So the first night with my baby, that was a bit emotional and lovely, and yet scary at the same time. But the support of NHS staff, they were really, really good. They came whenever I used to call them, even at night. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. The second day was not necessary actually. I was okay. The baby was okay. We just found few white pimples on the back of his neck. And when we discussed it, so the consultants were like, we need to look at him and watch him, and you can't get discharged before that. So that took a lot of time. Actually, it took the entire day. Now, the second day when I was in hospital, my parents had arrived from Pakistan. I was so excited. I just couldn't wait to go and meet them. But I was stuck in the hospital. So I was really, really anxious, and I was really irritable because I wanted to go and meet them finally, especially my mom. I wanted to hug her and I wanted to show her my baby. But I was stuck in the hospital. Anyways, when I was discharged, I went home. I was so excited. I was so emotional. I had the best people of my life, the ones I love the most with me in this important time. To all the moms watching this, you are stronger than you think. And thank you so much for listening to my birth story. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye bye.